There's a quote that cuts like broken glass. Women are animals with long hair and short ideas. Harsh, cruel, ugly. These aren't my words. They belong to Arthur Schopenhauer, a man of brilliance, bitterness, and brutal honesty. A philosopher so cold in his view of life that even his truths sting. Yes, Schopenhauer was angry. He was wounded. But before we discard him as just another bitter, broken misogynist, let's pause. Because hidden beneath his contempt was something deeper, something uncomfortable, something a lot of men feel, but almost none dare to say. Not because they hate women, but because they were hurt by love. Schopenhauer didn't hate women for who they were. He hated what love made him feel. Weak, unwanted, replaceable. Behind his cynicism was a question many men silently carry. Why wasn't I enough? Why does she leave even when it feels real? Why does it seem like the next guy is always richer, stronger, more confident? These aren't the questions of hatred. They're the cries of a broken heart. Today, we're going to talk about something most men feel, but few will admit. The silent heartbreak behind hypergamy, the unspoken idea that many women, often unconsciously, gravitate toward men of higher status, strength, or direction. But to understand this pain, we need to understand the philosophy behind it. We need to understand Schopenhauer's worldview. He believed the universe isn't ruled by logic, morals, or even God. It's ruled by a blind force, the will to life. This force drives everything: plants, animals, humans. It only wants one thing: to survive, to multiply. It makes us crave, chase, and desire what we don't have. But here's the trap. Desire always brings pain. Wanting something means feeling its absence, and the will is never satisfied. It always wants more. Schopenhauer said love is not love. It's a disguise, a biological trick, a manipulation of the will designed not to make you happy, but to make you reproduce. When you fall in love, you don't fall. You're pushed. Not by choice, by instinct. He believed women don't choose partners with their hearts. They choose with ancient instincts, buried deep in their biology. Instincts that silently ask, can this man protect me? Can he provide? Can he lead? That's not cruelty, that's survival. We call it hypergamy, the instinct to seek a partner of equal or higher value. It's not evil, it's not greedy, it's nature. Because centuries ago, the wrong partner could mean starvation, death, extinction. So nature gave women a radar, a kind of unspoken intuition, a whisper. That one. He's strong, he leads, he'll protect. And today, even in our modern world, that radar still works. It doesn't search for the strongest hunter anymore. It searches for direction, for purpose, for presence. But here's the hard truth. You can do everything right. Be kind, be loyal, be supportive, and she still might not choose you. Maybe you were the one who was always there, who gave, who stayed, and still, one day, she's gone. Not because you were bad, but because something in her didn't feel led. Maybe she found someone with more power, more confidence, more presence. And yes, that hurts. It doesn't just feel like rejection, it feels like you were discarded. Like all the love, effort, time meant nothing. Like you lost a game you didn't even know you were playing. That's where bitterness begins. Not from hate, but from heartbreak. That's the man who says all women are the same. Nice guys finish last. Love is a scam. But behind the sarcasm is a wound. A quiet pain that says, I gave everything, and it still wasn't enough. And when men speak up about this pain, what do they hear? Just be nice, be respectful, be yourself. But what if you were all those things? What if you gave your best and it still didn't work? What if she wanted wasn't kindness, but certainty, not safety, but energy, not devotion, but presence? That's what Schopenhauer saw, not as a scientist, but as a man who lived the rejection. He didn't write with distance. He wrote from scars, from a cold relationship with his mother, from failed loves, from years of feeling invisible. And that's why his words still hit, because they don't just speak to the mind, they speak to every man who has ever felt forgotten. But here's the danger. When pain gets mixed with truth, it becomes poison. When you let it sit too long, it grows bitter. And that bitterness doesn't just change how you see women, it destroys you from the inside out. So, what now? You don't bury it, you don't run from it, you face it. You name it, and then you rise above it. Because this truth isn't meant to make you hate, it's meant to wake you up. Life doesn't reward goodness, it rewards growth. It rewards vision. It rewards men who build. And when you begin to build from within, when you stop asking to be chosen, you become undeniable. Ironically, that's when you get noticed. Not because you tried to impress, but because you finally stopped trying. Let's talk about the wound no one sees, the pain most men carry in silence. You gave everything, you stayed, you loved, and it still wasn't enough. She left. Or worse, she stayed, but stopped seeing you. That kind of heartbreak isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It sits in your chest like cold steel. And when you're told not to talk about it, it doesn't go away. It shapeshifts into anger, into numbness, into isolation. That's when some men go online, into echoed chambers of rage. At first, it feels good. You feel understood. But soon, you stop healing. You start blaming. And blame might feel strong, but it doesn't make you whole. Here's the truth. Underneath all the anger is grief. The soft voice of a man who just wanted to be enough, to be chosen, to be loved fully and deeply. But instead, he felt invisible, replaced, forgotten. So what do you do with that pain? Do you numb it? Hide it? Let it rot into bitterness? Or is there another way? There is, but it's not what you think. It's not chasing more women. It's not learning tricks. It's not becoming someone you're not. And it's definitely not hating women. The real path forward: become the man who doesn't need to be chosen. A man who knows his worth even without validation. A man who builds for himself. When you stop seeking love to complete you and start living with purpose, everything changes. You no longer need to beg for attention. You no longer need to prove yourself, because you already know who you are. And in that moment, something rare begins to radiate from you. A calm confidence, a steady presence, a quiet power. And yes, people notice, not because you chased, but because you became. That's the shift. You stop asking, how do I get her to choose me? And you start asking, how do I become the man I admire? And that question, that's the beginning of everything. Every day becomes a chance to rise, to face your weaknesses, to own your fears, to get stronger, not for applause, but for you. You're not here to play small. You're not here to be chosen. You're here to lead, to build, to become. So build your body, not to impress, but to feel powerful. Sharpen your mind, not to sound smart, but to think clearly. Develop your skills, not to compete, but to create value. Build a life that reflects who you are and who you are becoming. And if love finds you along the way, let it. But don't orbit around it. Because your worth doesn't come from who stays. It comes from what you build. Some people will leave. Some won't see your value. Some will forget what you gave. But that's not your fault. And it's not your burden to carry. As Schopenhauer warned, love can hurt, especially when we mistake chemistry for truth. But nature gave us the cure: transformation. Turn your heartbreak into fuel. Turn your silence into focus. Turn your rejection into strength. This is your path. Stop chasing, start building. Because you don't need to be chosen when you've already chosen yourself. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this message spoke to you, if it gave you something to think about, then do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you're ready to take the next step, if you want guidance, community, and real tools to build yourself into a stronger, more confident man, check out the link in the description. It will take you to the HelpForMen Brotherhood, a place where men just like you are finding support, growth, and direction. Remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. So join us there, stay connected here, and as always, keep rising.